Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, we've been looking at domestic news, so I was going to say let's look at domestic news, but there's a sense in which, okay, the pandemic is sort of global news. At one time, it's domestic, at the same time, it's international, and then at the same time, it's global. But I say all of that because we wanted to sort of come home domestic scene in terms of our internal affairs here. And the BENUE state governor has actually, made an appeal. As you know, you could think of BENUE maybe as the capital of yam production in Nigeria, if not West Africa. Now, that's good. That's an accolade as far as agriculture and farming is concerned. But the citizens of BENUE state are concerned about, shall we say, something of an influx of armed herdsmen giving them all sorts of grief. In short, had they not had to worry with armed cattle herdsmen coming into their midst, and it might have been even better. And so the governor was making an appeal to the presidency yesterday. We'll take a look at that, and let's start with a report by our correspondent in BENUE State.
Is one of Nigeria's staple foods, and it is one of the world's largest producer of yam. BENUE is Nigeria's largest yam producing state. Farmers produce and come to the market to sell just like in traditional times. The Zakibiam Yam Market in Hukum local government area is the largest yam market as well as the largest monoproduct market in Nigeria, probably Africa. To boost agricultural food trading, particularly yam, the federal government reconstructed the market and built a 200,000 capacity yam storage facility.
To this historic occasion of the inauguration of the newly constructed Zakibiam Yam Market and the 200,000 capacity yam storage facility built by the federal government.
The governor feels farmers could produce more food if they were not constantly being attacked by herdsmen. He wants the federal government to stop armed herdsmen from freely entering Nigeria and killing farmers across the country.
Between April to June this year, over 60 people have been killed by herdsmen attacks across the states. As one of the ways to halt these attacks, we call on the federal government to stop the continued free entry of armed herdsmen from other countries into Nigeria.
Yam traders in the markets believe the long-needed storage facilities will make a difference.
If we did not have warehouse, your yams will be decaying and they will be rotting before June or July. But because of this warehouse, they will be installing yam inside.
For us to do business well, because as they come commercial like this, people they hear and they will come in.
The vice president joined the event via video call, congratulating Governor ORTOM for the success of the project. He disclosed plans by the federal government to provide solar energy and access road to the market.
The people of Ukum extradition are predominantly farmers and are one of the foundations that qualified BENUE State as the food basket of the nation. Now, this 200,000 storage facility will assist farmers and traders in this market, boost production of farm produce in this market. Mayowa Okwato, TVC News, Zakipiam.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayowa, in BENUE there. A marvelous market such as you see it. It's a main Nigeria thing. It's like being able to even see the capital there, and the fact that a specialist kind of market has been constructed, and storage as well, and all of that. Yam notoriously difficult to store if you don't know what you're doing, but I suppose this is like, you could think of this as the state of the art market. Now, all of this is as well as it is, but as the governor was saying in there, the main concern is that no matter having to contend with nature, contend with this and that, now armed cattle herdsmen are coming into their state. And as he said, the horrendous figure of this year, 60 people had been killed. So we wanted to sort of expand a bit on this, and the Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Mr. TERVER AKASE. He's with us on Skype. Good morning, TERVER.
Good morning.
Thank you very, very much
for here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, sort of congratulations to the state on that market. It looks like a state-of-the-art market, right?
Thank you very much. The greater credit goes to the government of Muhammadu Buhari, the president, through the office of the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has done well in this regard, has provided the facility, 200,000 capacity storage facility at the Zaki.
When you say 200,000, is that 200,000 yam or 200,000? I mean, is that 200,000 tons or 200,000 tubers?
Yes, it should be tons, because 200,000 yams shouldn't be that
Exactly.
much to
exactly.
You know, so it's much more than that. And
as you're giving the credit, I hear you.
Storage facilities there are really expensive.
As you're giving the credit, and I hear you, you know, it's the conventional thing. As you're giving the credit to the president and to the vice president, perhaps the governor himself had a little something to do with it.
Yes, of course, naturally, the state government has supported the project, and the governor did promise on that day that more will be done. Access roads will be constructed into the market, and other facilities will also will be provided. I know that the security of that market will also depend on the support that the state government will give to the conventional security agencies and the vigilante and so on. So there's a lot that the state government has done and will still do to ensure that the dream of putting in place that facility comes to pass.
Well, isn't it in place already? I mean, we saw pictures. We saw pictures. That beautiful video report. It's like it's in place already, or is it still a work in progress?
No. This market is one of the oldest. You heard rightly in your reporter's account that this is probably one of about the biggest, the largest yam market in West Africa, if not the entire Africa. So it's been there for decades, and the local government, Obukum local government, being supported by the BENUE state government, has been trying to see that that market does not go. Continues to serve the state and the country. So the intervention by the Buhari administration has elevated the status of that market to international levels, and that's why we have to give the president the credit. You know, so the market has been there, and that's why if you visit the market from all across Nigeria, vehicles, truck are loading and leaving in droves. So it's been there for decades.
And then before we go on to some of the challenges, I believe attention has also been paid to storage.
Absolutely, that's why I said. And if you visit the market now, you would see gigantic storage facilities which are provided, and the atmosphere looks really good for the business of yam production, storage, and trading. Has already been elevated by this gesture. So storage facilities that we saw are good enough to attract international traders to Zaki Biam market.
Okay, and so now it looks quite idyllic, and you know, as I said, Nigeria could, never mind Benue State alone, Nigeria could feel it could congratulate itself on this sort of a milestone. Now let's go to the other side of the story. As idyllic as it looks, you say there are challenges. In fact, many would have been shocked to have heard the governor say that up to 60 people had actually been killed at the hands of armed cattle herdsmen coming into the state. And he was bemoaning that fact and was appealing to the federal government to see what they could do. armed. I mean, that actually happened. So tell us a bit about that, the experience of armed cattle herdsmen coming in.
Well, this has been a problem to Benue State in particular over the years, and that's why the government thought it necessary to enact a law in 2017 to phase out open grazing of livestock and encourage ranching, the establishment of ranches. But you know that the herders are on record to have vehemently vowed never to regard this legislation. And they have made real their threats. They attacked Benue massively in 2018. TVC has visited Benue on a number of occasions to do detailed reports, to go to the behind the normal stories of coverage and dig deeply into the investigative reports here and other media organizations to tell the truth of what has been happening in Benue. And quite an unfortunate story that a group of persons will vow never to recognize a law that is popularly made by the people of a state. I've never heard a thing like this in any part of the world, that a group of persons will say they will never recognize a legislation. So this is what is happening. The Miyetti Allah Kautahore, that group in particular, has repeatedly said what is happening here is it's a struggle for the control of resources in the Benue Valley, and that they will never leave Benue State as long as they are not allowed, their cows and sheep are not allowed to freely graze. Then they will make sure that the laws of this land are not respected. And that's why we've been calling on security agencies to arrest and prosecute the leadership of Miyetti Allah Kautahore in particular. Other Fulani groups, other herder groups might have had misgivings with this law, but the one that has frontally, the one that has stepped forward to claim responsibility for the killings of innocent persons in Benue is Miyetti Allah Kautahore. We have written to the IG of police, we have written to the National Security Advisor, we have written to Mr. President, we have written to the Vice President to say, look, these guys, why is no one saying anything? A group has claimed responsibility repeatedly that they must be allowed to graze in Benue State and other parts of central Nigeria, and they have accepted that, look, we attacked because we were not allowed to graze. And no one is saying anything. So it baffles me and baffles every other Benue person that this is allowed to happen. So as much as we commend the federal government, we feel that a lot more should be done in this regard. Ask these guys to come and tell you why they have been threatening and executing, making real their threats in Benue State. And just like the governor said, 60 persons in the renewed attack, 60 persons have already gone down, and you never can tell what will happen in the next couple of days.
Are these all domestic armed cattle herders, or because one of the things that you often hear is that these are not Nigerians, these are foreigners. What's your sense about, because you're mentioning Miyetti Allah there, that certainly is a Nigerian group, and again you're making the point that they are armed. So who is arming them? Not any. You can't just go buy an AK. But by the way, what are you talking about? Bows and arrows? Are you talking about knives? Who is arming them?
Now this is the connection. On May 29 or 30th thereabouts in 2017. This was a few days after Benue enacted. The governor signed into law the Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranches Establishment Bill. Miyetti Allah held a press conference. Miyetti Allah Kautahore held a press conference in Abuja and said the there are attacks. The BENUE has just enacted a law to chase Fulani people away from the state, and that they will mobilize their kinsmen. They will mobilize other Fulanis from all across Africa to come to BENUE and support them to vehemently resist the enforcement of this law. This is on record. I'm sure TVC was also there. And if these guys made this threat, and a few months after, attacks on BENUE began, you don't need to look elsewhere for the culprit. This is the culprit. And we have been pointing out to this fact that this is the connection. They said they will mobilize their Fulani kinsmen from across Africa to come here and invade BENUE and resist the enforcement of this law. So that they said that if the BENUE law is allowed to stand, the rest of Nigerian states will enact similar laws, and that means that Fulani people, their means of livelihood, which is of course the not supposed to be in this century. What is supposed to be in this century is ranching of livestock. But they have said they will never leave their way of life, which was happening in the olden centuries, and that as long as BENUE's law, if BENUE's law is allowed to stand, other Nigerian states will emulate BENUE, and that means their method of animal husbandry will be phased out. So this is where the connection is. They have invited their friends. And remember that sometime in 2019, when some foreign cattlemen were caught in Sokoto, somewhere in Sokoto, Mieti Allah Kautahore immediately issued a warning to security agencies that those Fulani people should not be arrested, that no one should touch them, that they are free to come into Nigeria, that the Fulani people have no boundaries. As far as they are concerned, the whole world is their constituency, that they can visit any place, they can visit any country, anytime they want, and do their business there. So if you are hearing this kind of statement, and you are having attacks repeatedly in BENUE and other states, you don't need to look elsewhere for who is responsible.
You know,
so
you've given me part of the answer to the question that I was going to ask, because you said, why is nobody saying anything? And you said that you've notified just about everybody you can think of, you know, the security agencies, National Security Advisor, the presidency. So how does that work? When you make these representations to them, what? There's just deafening silence? They look away? They don't come and investigate? How does it work?
Well, partly the federal government has responded by sending Operation Wellstroke to BENUE to curb the excesses of the armed herdsmen. But we are also asking that they should take a step further and stop foreign herdsmen from coming into BENUE. And that's why we're asking, Governor OTUKPO has joined the call for a review of the ECOWAS protocol, which allows people to move into member countries without any hindrance. That if this is done, foreign herdsmen will have no reason to just come in. They will have to show their papers to come in, and their livestock will be quarantined if they come in, to be sure that they are free from diseases and other things. And they will also be made to comply with the laws of whichever state they go into.
But as it stands now, because Nigeria is a signatory to that protocol, where just about any African really can, you know, cross borders, but there will be some rudimentary level of paperwork, perhaps, although I don't know. Well, give me your commentary on that. Are cattle herdsmen from along the coast of West Africa just able to just, you know, roll into Nigeria simply because they are cattle herdsmen and that's it? Surely, I was thinking
Yes. You see, Nigeria has a very big voice. Nigeria is a big brother in West Africa. As far as West Africa is concerned, Nigeria's voice counts a lot. And if Nigeria decides that the West African protocol on free movement, on transhumans and so on is reviewed, it will lobby, it will influence other West African countries. And that will go a long way to taking another look at that document. And when this is done, it will be in the interest of not just the farmers of West Africa, but also for security reasons. Because now you hear of what about the issue in the northeast? People just come into Nigeria. What about the Cameroonian border? What is happening there? People come. BENUE shares borders with Cameroon. Now people keep coming in from that axis, and the issue of COVID-19 is also there. So there is every need for that review to be done. It's long overdue, and we hope that the federal government is listening. And we believe that President Muhammadu Buhari is a leader who truly is for Nigeria, and he should. We believe that the government will take a look at this and
okay. Let me bring on Simon, calling in from OTUKPO. Good morning, Simon.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I just want to contribute a little.
Sure.
From what the spokesman of the governor was saying, yes, it is true that there have been attacks in BENUE since the announcement of the law. But the truth of it is that I believe that there are some certain things that the governor himself is not actually, putting into consideration. Knowing the fact that these herdsmen, they are not people who are just, staying in the town. The law is a good law. But the truth of it is that I personally believe that there should be at least some level of awareness. If you look at when they enacted the law immediately they passed the law, there are a lot of things that happen in BENUE State. Let us be realistic with ourselves. Because it got to a point that the way they project the law, it looks as if it is just one-sided. Meanwhile, the law is not one-sided. The law is to protect both herders and farmers. You are getting me. But immediately they enact the law, I want to tell you from a reliable source that some persons who believe that the law is just... You understand?
Sorry, you dropped out there. Some persons who believe that the law is just what?
Some persons who believe that the law is just targeting herdsmen, like those who are just raising cattle in the state. You understand? They went after them, killed some of the cattle. You understand? More than 1,000 cattle were killed from what the Miyetti Allah said then. You understand? So now, the point I'm driving at is that I believe that at least there should be a level. Let us talk to these people, these herders. Let them know the benefit of this law. The law is a good law.
Okay.
You understand?
Thank you very much, Simon. Appreciate your call. Thank you for calling in, Simon. So, TERVER, you heard him. How would you react to that? That some people went crazy.
Very simple. Very simple.
And that started slaughtering cows of Miyetti Allah.
The question to ask is, how did he get to know much about this law? If he said there is no awareness, that means there is awareness. The law has been translated into languages, including Hausa language, which every Fulani person understands. The law has been translated into Tiv, into Idoma, into Igede. That we have done jingles, we have gone to radio, we have gone to television to talk about the law. We have held meetings with Miyetti Allah groups, not just Kautahore. We have met with Makban, we have met with all the groups. And the law has been interpreted to them. They know exactly what it is. And that's why they are angry with provisions of that law.
Okay, wait a minute. I hear you. Mr. ADENIYI in EBUTE-METTA, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead.
I think we need to be very bold about some group of people undermining state laws. Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, I think we need to be very bold about some people, group of people undermining state laws. It is unbecoming, and the society should not tolerate this. A state made a law, and some group says it will not stand. It is inimical to a societal growth. And collectively, the entire country should rise up against this so-called Miyetti Allah. Because they can't just take everybody for a ride, killing and maiming people on the flimsy excuse. There's no society in the world that roams around rams and cows.
Mr. Adeniyi, Mr. Adeniyi, Mayati Allah is a cattle, herders association. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know if every last one of them really is a militant in that sort of a way, because oftentimes when you hear these dire stories about Mayati Allah, then you hear some of their leaders come out and say that the matter is being exaggerated. We never said that, for example. Sensationalism is at play here. You hear it oftentimes. You probably will agree.
But when a group is so bold to come out and they are specific on the roles they are playing. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
When a group is so bold enough and they come out and they are specific on the roles they are playing, that they will not allow a law to stand, then the government will rise up against such people.
Okay.
This Kwete, I don't know what's their name. This Kwete, they said on TV, on papers, that a state law will not stand.
Okay.
And the federal government, state government are looking the other way.
All right, then.
This is not too good for this society.
Okay, Mr. Adeniyi, let me just double check that with TERVER, Mr. AKASE. Has Mayati Allah as a group officially said, because oftentimes they say things, everybody will run with it, it's on radio, press, TV, and then the leaders will say they don't know where that came from. Are you satisfied, Mr. AKASE, that Mayati Allah as an association says that over its dead body will any law work that is inimical to their interest, in this case, herding cattle the way they want?
They have repeatedly said this, and I am particular about Mayati Allah Kautahore. Madban, for instance.
Okay,
that's
let me take a
Mayati
break.
Allah Cattle Breeders Association.
Sorry, let me take a break. We'll come back and we'll continue with you, and of course with our phone calls, so we sort of get enlightenment on this issue. Okay, welcome back, and we're looking at, first of all, the success of Benue State as a major, in fact, the yam market, arguably, in West Africa, and then also the challenges. And we're talking about cattle, about herdsmen, armed herdsmen, and we've been speaking with the press secretary, chief press secretary to the governor in Benue, Mr. TERVER AKASE, and he's been, giving us, some statements, some positions, and before even he came on to speak, you heard the governor himself not mentioning any particular association by name, but saying that marauding herdsmen had killed 60 people, at least 60 people. Now, Mr. AKASE has specifically zeroed in on Mayati Allah, that they just refuse to comply. And this is where we would have loved to hear from Mayati Allah. And when we're thinking about this story, of course, they have their spokespeople, they have their spokesmen as well. We would have loved to hear from them, but I don't know, they're not the easiest people to get. It is, the Mayati Allah just might be watching this, at least their spokespeople, their spokespersons. Please feel free to call in, and in any case, Mayati Allah has the right of response. They have the right of reply. Just in case we don't get a Mayati Allah person to call in, you do have Mayati Allah, you do have a right of reply. You could come in or reach us, and we'd connect you two with Skype to hear your side of this story. But in the meantime, if any Mayati Allah person wants to call in and tell us how we should also be seeing it, because Mr. AKASE, even Simon that called in earlier was saying something along the lines of some people misunderstanding, Mayati Allah feeling something of a persecution complex, that this is about us, it's against us, and you have said there that this is a law that would benefit all, but they take their interpretation, and you say they are resting their case on the fact that our age-old traditions, we're not going to do away with that. This has been a national conversation that's been going on for a while, but I thought it was making headway. Apparently, you are saying not so much.
Well, What I do know is that ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Before you continue, sir, so that I don't interrupt you, let me just take Mr. George, who has called in from Ikeja, and then I'll come straight back to you. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the Benue governor's spokesperson.
Mr. AKASE, yes.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I've always canvassed for laws that can work. It's one thing to just make a law, but what about the workability of that law? I like the project going on in Benue State and the relationship they're maintaining with the federal government on it. But truth must be told, Uncle Yori, that grazing law has its flaws. Why am I saying
the anti-grazing law?
Yes, because Nigeria has a constitution which enables anybody from any state to reside in any other state and earn a living. If you are saying that somebody should not come to your state to do a business or to earn a living, that's the way the EAT-ALA people are seeing it. Whether we like it or not, that is the way they are seeing it.
As opposed to, you can't come into the state and damage our property, damage anybody else's,
Yes, you have no right to damage somebody's property. But if the person tells you, don't come to my land, and you have a right to go to that land, the reaction will be different. Okay, Yori, let me give you an example. South Africans were killing Nigerians in their country for whatever reason. Nigeria's president, instead of saying South Africans here should also be punished or they should not come to our country, what did he do? He went to the president of South Africa to negotiate that he should talk to his people. And for that reason, you can see xenophobia has reduced, if not eliminated, since that time. I expected the Benue governor to do a negotiation rather than making a law which in practice really cannot work. You can see that even the killings at the time the law was not made is less than the killings than after the law had been made. Which one is better?
Okay, Mr. George, thank you for calling in. Mr. AKASE.
You know why I'm laughing is that my brother who just than the Miyetti-ALA. Miyetti-ALA understand this law perfectly, and their understanding is different from his understanding. Now, this is the issue. The law does not stop anyone from coming to do cattle business in Benue State. The law was structured in recognition of the supremacy of the Nigerian Constitution, which says no one should be prevented from going to any part of this country. What the Benue State law says is that people are encouraged to do cattle business in Benue State. The only thing that the law does not allow from May 22nd, 2017 is that if you want to do cattle business, it shouldn't be open grazing. It should be in ranches. And the government of Benue State is already encouraging cattle farmers from doing ranches. If you go to some parts of Benue now, you see ranches and people have their livestock there. Now, the law says if you want to bring in, even if you want to go and buy cows from Sokoto and bring into Benue, do so, but do it in trucks. Don't transport them by foot to Benue. Once you cross Nasarawa or Taraba or Enugu or Kogi and you want to come into Benue territory, please carry your livestock, whether they are sheep, whether they are pigs, and that's another thing. The law does not restrict its provisions to cows. It covers sheep, pigs, and whatever livestock, whatever animal that is domestic. Now, people are encouraged to do as much livestock farming, in Benue State, but that it should be in ranches. And let's underscore this thing. So even if you come from Sokoto, from Borno, from Lagos, from Enugu, from wherever, you are free to come into Benue. Come and we want you to invest as much as you can in livestock business in Benue State, but do it in ranches. And this is the simple thing that this law is saying. And that is the thing that Mieti Allah are saying they will have none of it. They are saying they will continue to practice their colonial the same practice of animal husbandry that they were doing more than 1,000 years ago. They will continue to do it today. And BENUE is saying, look, the world has moved from that era where people traversed with cow from Sokoto to Lagos. Now, if you go to South Africa, if you go to India, if you go to America, if you go to Germany, cows and other animals are in ranches. Nigeria should embrace this as the only way forward because there is no land again.
Okay, one moment, please. A call just coming from the UK. Good. Did I didn't hear the name properly. Nandem. It sounds like I lost that UK call. Now, if you, I don't know. First of all, the law is the law, and as you said, everybody should respect the law because the law is the law. But our caller, Mr. George, he brought up the whole matter about the doability or otherwise of that law, whether it can indeed be kept. So what is it from there? How I wish I had Mieti Allah spokesperson to tell us what it is that they have against ranching. Apart, because even at one time, before this federal government abandoned the whole idea, I think the federal government was also leaning towards the whole idea of ranching. So I would have loved to hear from Mieti Allah what it is, how it is different, and how they don't what they don't like about ranching, which you say, and not just that you say. Everybody knows that's the modern trend.
Now, good question. I have already established one of the issues they have with the law, that they must continue with their olden pattern of livestock rearing, and that they don't have to.
Sorry, can I come back to the problem? Because I just got that UK call back, I think. Jerry in the UK. Good morning, Jerry.
Yes, good morning. Yes, please. I wanted to make a contribution to the ECOWAS protocol.
Go right ahead.
The ECOWAS protocol, when they are saying to review the ECOWAS travel protocol, the ECOWAS travel protocol, there is nothing to renew, because I myself have traveled throughout
to review
the West. I've traveled throughout the West African sub-region. The ECOWAS protocol is all what you have to do wherever you travel to. Myself, you just have to show your papers to cross the border. So what is wrong with the ECOWAS protocol is that it is not being implemented in Nigeria. Anybody traveling to Nigeria through the border supposed to present his papers. That is what I do when I travel to other West African countries.
Yeah, but to be fair, Jerry, even when you don't just cross the border anyhow into Nigeria, you know that you still show papers.
Exactly. I have traveled throughout the whole of West Africa from one country to the other. Any border I go to, I show my papers.
Including Nigeria.
Nobody allow me to go in freely. So the same thing, the Nigerian government is just being lazy.
All right.
They know what they are doing. Anybody coming to Nigeria should present his papers.
Okay.
There is nothing to review about the ECOWAS protocol.
Okay.
What Nigeria needs is implementation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in, Jerry. Jerry was calling in from Liverpool there. Mr. AKASE, to return to you, you were saying some of the things you'd found out that might be some of the pains that Mieti Allah sees. Please continue.
Well, yes, you see, Benue state government subsidizes crop farmers, subsidizes agriculture. It subsidizes fertilizer at 40%, and just recently the government gave tractors at 60% subsidy to farmers. This is good for farmers, and the government is ready to do same for cattle business owners. And the governor has made all of this known to Mieti Allah and the other groups, that as long as you are willing to do business here according to the laws, the government is ready to support you. After all, the government supports crop farming. So why not? But it seems they are not ready to toe this line of
and you know, we were trying to say what could
yes,
they have against it?
Some of the things I mentioned, one of the things is their vehement refusal to embrace ranching, and the other argument they raised was the fact that why would they not be allowed to buy land absolutely permanently for livestock business? But the government felt this is a novel thing. Ranching is novel, sort of, in Nigeria, even though it was done in the past. But the one that the world is doing now, parts of the world are doing, is such that if we say people should buy land permanently now, before you know it, the entire land will be bought over by. So we are thinking that for now, it should be 1 year renewable lease of land. Yes. So that the owner of the land, when you want to do a ranch, you approach the owner of the land. If you don't have land here, if you have land, you go ahead, just notify the Ministry of Agriculture that you want to start a ranch. They will go and supervise and make sure that your ranch meets the requirements of the law establishing ranches.
As I said earlier, Miyetti Allah, if they're listening, they have the right of response, right of reply. If there's something that perhaps they feel that they can put some clarity on, by all means, you're welcome. Just get in touch, and we'd like to hear it from your perspective as well. What does Miyetti Allah say to all of this, seeing as the spokesperson, or shall we say the chief press secretary to the governor, is specifying that Miyetti Allah seems to be the main problem? Not just Miyetti Allah, there are other cattle groups, but sort of like spearheaded by Miyetti Allah, saying that, so to speak, quote unquote, over their dead body, will they allow this law to be successful? We'd like to hear from Miyetti Allah too. So Miyetti Allah, you have a right of response. Call us if you want, so that we can, I'm not talking about on this program, but to actually make a whole program on you as well, Miyetti Allah Cattle Association. Now, Mr. Adeyemi in Abuja, good morning, sir. Thank you for holding on. Mr. Adeyemi in Abuja, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Please, I'm listening to your program, and I would like to chip in.
Sure.
Now, when a group, just like Mr. Kave is saying, when those people came and made that threat, CVC were there. Nobody has done any arrest. Like the man is rightly saying, nobody is stopping them from coming in. But that this is what the world is going in. Ranching. That is where the world is going. Nobody again takes cattle all the way from Sokoto to Lagos. One, it is not even healthy for the farmers, for the herders themselves. It is also not healthy for the cattle. But it is simply because nobody has done any arrest. Nobody, they just turned the federal government to a British bulldog that will only bark but cannot bite. If they've taken the bull by the horn and at least just prosecute just a single person, it will have served as a detriment to others. It will have served as a detriment to others. Just recently, of course, people stand to differ an opinion. The same Miyetti Allah said it recently that Nigeria belongs to them and they will continue to rule forever. And nobody is saying anything. The more we decide to keep quiet and pretend as if nothing is happening, the more Nigeria will continue to degenerate. But God forbid. That is my contribution, sir. God bless you.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Adeyemi. Yeah, you're right. Those statements were heard. But then, maybe I should just reserve comment, because people quite frankly can say anything. They can say whatever they like. What they've said has been reported. Maybe we should also be reporting other aspects to this particular question. So I'll just leave that home. That last point you made, which has sort of struck a lot of people. But enough said. Let me not add on top of what you said. Everybody else heard it. So, Mr. AKASE, it seems that you are saying that you are at a loss. When I say you, I mean the corporate you, at a loss as to what else to do, because you've brought the situation, the unhealthy, untoward situation, to the attention of all the authorities. They know After all, the vice president was instrumental. He was key in the whole launching of this modern market. So the presidency cannot say it doesn't know. The Inspector General of Police, everybody you say knows. So the question now is, and as people are also asking, why is the matter being treated with kid gloves? Does Mayati Allah have a right to exist? Of course they do. They exist. They're on the books. We'd also like to hear from them so that just in case the case is being overstated from their point of view, just in case all of those statements that have been made publicly claiming to be Mayati Allah, just in case they've been misquoted or outright lies, we'd like to hear from them. But, so anytime at their convenience, when they get in touch with us, we'd like to hear it. But nobody is speaking up. That's the problem. You see it here too. Nobody is calling up from, as it were, to say, look, this is the view. Even before Mayati Allah arrives, this is the view as somebody who is a participant or who has access knows. So in the meantime, the only part that we do have is what you are telling us. And Ada in Jos, I believe. Did I hear that right? Good morning, Ada.
Mr. Yori, hello. It's Ada from Jos.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Yeah.
The problem we have in Nigeria is that we refuse to do the right thing. The Benue State governor, that law on banning open grazing, it should have been nationwide. We should embrace ranching. And because some governors are not doing it, that's why it's as if the Benue governor is doing the wrong thing. That's the way to go. It's not even healthy for the livestock and all that, Look at Ganduje now. Ganduje has embraced that. He has provided a vast area of land. I don't know. What are we talking about? Every day we talk about farmers being killed on their farms by herders. Then we have influx of herders from the foreign countries, all under the guise of ECOWAS protocol or whatever. I don't know. We keep on blowing hot and cold in this country. Why do we do that? I don't know. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate. Mr. President should do something about this thing. So we keep quiet. Every day we keep on killing people on their farms. And then we are talking about food insecurity. How will we have food security if these issues are not addressed? I'm not really too happy about Mr. Buhari. Buhari is my man, but the way he's going about the whole thing, I'm fed up.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yuri,
yes.
Let me, our sister there that has raised a very crucial point, and we should bother all of us. Now, look at the Zaki Biam International Yam Market that was just inaugurated. Zaki Biam is at the border of, it's near the border of between Benue and Taraba State. And these issues of herdsmen attacks, they happen mostly at the borders. Now, if you don't provide security, if you don't ensure that the farmers go to the market, go to their farms and produce enough yams and other crops for subsistence and for commercial purposes, the idea behind upgrading facilities in that market will be defeated, because you won't have enough yams there to export. You won't have the farmers bring the yams. You won't have people come in to buy the yams. So the idea behind it, as good as it is, would have been defeated even before it began. So these are some of the issues. These are some of the points that we are making.
Okay, well, let's hear it from Tony. Tony called in from Dublin. Good morning, Tony.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Good morning to you all.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Very well, very well.
Okay. Now, this problem is very simple. Simple. These are lives. These are lives. Life. We're talking about life over cattle, over animals that is being slaughtered every day. We've had enough. Every day we turn on the television, yet people are being killed. We have had enough. The president needs to do something straight away. There's no excuse. No more excuses. This has to stop once and for all.
Okay.
Okay, let me just make another example. Life of a human being and a cattle, which one is much more? Does this president was he elected to become a governor?
Hello. Take a deep breath. we understand what you're saying. It's a highly emotive issue. But Mr. AKASE, in case anybody is wondering, like people are watching in the UK, in Dublin, and all over the country, the problem with open grazing is that the cattle will trample over farmlands and crops, and they will eat crops, and thereby it's very, very expensive. Whereas you are protecting your business, you're destroying your host business. Is that, in a nutshell, the way it is?
That's what happens here. And as much as you may not see the headers with arms, those who come into farmlands, you may still see them with those sticks.
Yes.
They have militia that wait behind. Now, when they encroach on farmlands and the farmers get agitated, say, why are you destroying our crops? And if the farmers decide to say, look, take your cows out of these farmlands, you people should leave, just leave us alone. The militia will say,
they show up.
So you don't want our cows to feed on your farms, so we'll visit you tonight.
Okay.
Now they come and launch attacks on the community that says the cows must not graze in that community.
I hear you, and I want to thank you very much, Mr. TERVER AKASE, for spending the entire hour with us, sort of giving us to understand what exactly is going on. There's a law, the law is not being obeyed. You've made some assertions. Many people say that I've also heard those assertions that are actually coming from, Mayati Allah. And so we're extending an invitation to Mayati Allah. They do speak, their leaders do speak. We'd like to hear from you as well, what the issue is all about. Where is it that people don't understand the situation? Where is it that you actually acknowledge the situation and that you can do something about it at all? There are many times when, in the course of today's conversation, when if we had had a Mayati Allah spokesperson, he'd have been able to, maybe even a she, but they'd have been able to, come in on it. So we're using this opportunity to formally and officially invite Mayati Allah to reach us, because we'd like to talk to them as well and get their explanation on how they see these laws. Maybe they see it differently from the way Mr. AKASE has painted it, which is that you have sworn not to allow it to work. Well, that's our program. I want to thank you very much once more, Mr. TERVER AKASE, and once more I should say congratulations on the sort of upgrading of the market, and long may your state reign as the chief producer of yam for the world, actually. You produce for West Africa, you produce for the world. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for us, another edition. Tomorrow is June 12th, so no prizes for guessing where the subject matter is going to be tomorrow. See you then. Stay safe.